Hi, everyone. I'm Matt DeFanis, broker-owner of RE/MAX Realty Associates with offices in Champaign, Mahomet, and Monticello, Illinois. And today I want to talk to you for just a few minutes about suggested showing protocols during the COVID-19 pandemic. So first, before we get into the details about showings themselves, I do want to point out that if you're a seller or a potential seller, you may first want to ask yourself, do you need to have your home on the market right now? And do you need to have showings? After all, right now, you may find that you're either furloughed from a job or doing your job full-time from home. And if you got kids in your household, they're e-learning from home, and it just may not be practical or feasible to get your house cleaned for a showing, get everyone out of the house, and just deal with all of that. So, and then of course, there's the issue of you're bringing people into your space, and for whatever reason, you may choose not to take that risk right now. Under normal circumstances, if your house is listed in the MLS as being an active listing and it's going out to Zillow and Realtor.com and all of the other consumer websites, you have to allow showings. And that stands to reason. You can't dangle it in front of the buying public and then say, no, you can't see it and I won't sell it to you. However, our multiple listing service made an emergency rules change in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, and specifically in light of the governor's stay-at-home order here in the state of Illinois. And under that emergency MLS rules change, home sellers can have their home stay listed as active while not allowing showings, but only during the duration of the stay-at-home order. You're turning away showings, and you will continue racking up days on market. And obviously, it's not going to sell while you're not letting anybody in. So that is an option for the duration of the stay-at-home order, or you can switch it to a temporarily no showings status, which won't rack up days on market, but will probably pull you off of most consumer websites. Now, what I want to talk about is if you're somebody whose house is on the market and you are accommodating showings, I want to talk about real-world practical tips for how you might do that while mitigating risks in the most reasonable manner possible without making the showings themselves infeasible. So what we want to avoid, if you're my age or older, you may recognize this as being from a late scene in the movie E.T. We don't want your house looking like this to prospective buyers. Walking into a front entrance like this does not exactly scream welcome home. So with that in mind, here are the real practical tips. Right now, sellers are typically at home right before the showing and right after the showing, and you can therefore prep. So one of the easiest things that you can do is leave all the lights on. Turn all the lights on, all the light switches, all of the lamps in the house, every light in the house. Have it on, leave it on for the buyers, and feel free to leave them a note telling them to leave them on when they leave. Leave all of your doors ajar. Bedroom doors, bathroom doors, pantry doors, linen closet doors. You get the idea. All of the interior doors. Obviously, your exterior doors will be closed and hopefully locked so that people aren't able to wander into your home. So there will be a few touch points. But if you do this, this will drastically cut down on the touch points that people will be in contact with during the normal course of a showing. I would tell you, if you're a seller, understand this doesn't completely eliminate touch points. It's totally understandable that buyers would want to open and close cabinets and kitchen drawers, get an idea what the cabinet and drawer construction quality is, whether they're soft close, that type of thing. So it won't 100% eliminate touch points, but it will cut down on it a bunch. If you have a supply of hand sanitizer, leave it right inside the door, someplace that is unmistakable that people practically run right into it. In most cases, showings involve people going from one home to the next, and obviously getting in and out of cars, touching steering wheels, door handles, all of those other things. So if there's an opportunity right inside the front door of your house to sanitize hands, people will do that. And then you know that their hands aren't going to bring contaminants in from the last location. So again, if you can get your hands on hand sanitizer. Wear a mask. So there have been some pretty terrible news footage played from other states where you've seen law enforcement forcibly dragging people off of city buses because they didn't wear a mask. It is a CDC recommended practice, and it is technically voluntary, not mandatory here. But remember, in the course of real estate showings, you are going to be entering somebody else's home. somebody else's living space, breathing space, sleeping and cooking space. It's somebody else's house. So please be respectful. And even if you're not somebody who's super germophobic over COVID-19, you don't know that the sellers aren't. And furthermore, as I say in this slide, you never know when the sellers are watching you while you're in their house on their Ring video camera. Or as I had sellers do some years ago, they were consistently going and hiding out at or next to the house across the street and spying on the showings from there. So assume you're being watched. So wear a mask, ideally because you believe it's a safer choice. And even if you don't, wear a mask so that the sellers see that you're wearing a mask. Be respectful. The next thing I want to talk about is gloves. And specifically, don't overestimate the value of wearing gloves. Now, I am not a medical professional. I am married to a medical professional, but the problem with gloves is if you are not trained in the specific use and disposal of gloves because you have been in commercial food preparation or you are a healthcare worker, there's a really good chance that you're going to contaminate your hands and the gloves anyway. And you're going to create a lot of waste. And anything that you touch with the gloved hands is no more sanitary than touching those things with your bare fingertips. Your skin is the largest organ in your body. And as long as you don't have gaping wounds in your fingers, sanitized hands or freshly washed hands are going to be perfectly safe. And in fact, a lot of people, again, if they're not trained on the use of the gloves, if they do the things with their gloved hands, like touch their nose itches, their face itches, they've touched any part of their face, they've now contaminated the glove. You are no better off having them in gloved hands at that point. Now, on the subject of sanitizing your hands, how often should you do this? Well, if you're thinking about a medical environment, medical professionals, you certainly hope and generally will see that they are washing their hands every time they walk into a patient exam room. And the same thing is true. That analogizes quite well to real estate showings. In many cases, people are going from one house into the car, then to the next house, back to the car, then to the next house. So you just want to make sure you're sanitizing those hands every time you're entering somebody else's house. And that's after you've gotten out of your car, after you've let go of your steering wheel, after you've touched your door handle. If you're the realtor showing the house, you have to use your smartphone to open up the key box. So you're touching your smartphone, which obviously is not a sterile surface. So in a perfect world, you'll walk into a house, have a seller hand sanitizing station right there, or be carrying a pocket-sized bottle of hand sanitizer. Sanitize as soon as you possibly can when you enter somebody's house. Anytime you touch your face, anytime you touch other non-sterile surfaces, which can include your steering wheel and smartphone. And remember, one of the other safety measures may also contaminate your hands, and that is removing the mask. And then also after touching any previously used mask. So sanitize those hands very, very frequently. The last thing I want to talk about is in Illinois, real estate professionals are allowed to operate legally even during the governor's stay-at-home order. Illinois has completely exempted real estate brokers and every other type of professional related to a real estate transaction. Real estate brokers, appraisers, lenders, bankers, title insurance companies, attorneys, and most home improvement and repair professionals. All of those folks can legally operate, but they still have a duty to do so responsibly and with an eye towards safety under the circumstances. So right now, our legal mandates include absolutely no showings of tenant-occupied properties. If you're showing properties that are owner-occupied and the owner has consented, or it's vacant, right now, no more than 4 people are permitted in those showings at the same time. No open houses. So as I said earlier, just because the real estate industry has been permitted to operate because it has been deemed an essential business or operation under the governor's executive stay-at-home order, that doesn't mean that all of us in the industry, as well as house buyers and sellers, don't have a very solemn obligation to treat the circumstances and other people's home environments with a lot of deference and respect. So I hope I gave you some food for thought with this video. As always, the top priority is stay home if you can, stay healthy, stay safe. Whenever you're ready for us, we are here to serve you, and we look forward to the opportunity to do so. Thank you so much for watching.